Treaty Trend on TV show, on the show My Health, My Wealth. And today I'm privileged to host a nutritional advisor, and maybe she'll introduce herself.
Hi you all, my name is Daphne, or Maida, or the Great Alpha Female. And yes, you heard I'm a nutritionist advisor on the learning.
Okay guys, so till the end of the show, don't touch the dial. Okay, Miss Duff.
Yes.
Okay, let's, generally we're going to talk about nutrition. And first of all, maybe you tell us, what is this nutrition? This is something that we hear from outside, maybe tunapita kwa watu wanasema nutrition, and some of us don't understand what is nutrition and dietetics maybe.
Well, nutrition and dietetics is actually just a science that helps you understand how food is important or improves a human being's life or health. Generally, that is what we can talk about it.
Okay, so with nutrition, rather, is nutrition for you like, should people take multivitamin? Or, okay, let's start with that. Should people take multivitamin?
Well, I can tell you, in a hospital setup, we have prescribed multivitamins, and these are only prescribed when the food that this person is getting is not actually giving them the right amount of nutrition or vitamins or anything that their body wants. So they're in lack of certain minerals. So that is why we give them a prescribed medication of multivitamins just to substitute. So I think if someone is in deficiency of certain nutritions or minerals or like calcium and iron, we'll prescribe to you a multivitamin that will help you boost.
Okay, multivitamin, we can give it for the babies or the old people, or it works for everyone?
Well, it works for everyone. There are just different multivitamins for different age and different purposes.
Okay, that's good. And does the food, maybe you tell us for a purpose of an athlete, does the food an athlete eat affect its performance? For example, he or she wants to perform, maybe wants to perform like a few minutes to the performance, or a few days, or maybe years.
Well, let's talk about a few hours to your performance. Yeah. You know, as an athlete, you need to be light. So I believe that the food that you take will influence your performance in anything. Apart from athlete, any person, the food that you take will influence your performance at the work that you're doing, because you get that generally an athlete has to eat a lot of bodybuilding. Generally, let's just say an athlete will eat a balanced diet, okay? Which is different from maybe a manual worker. Their quantity and the quality of food will be different, because you see, as for a manual worker, they need a lot of food for consumption because they're using a lot of energy to carry around the blocks and everything. But for an athlete, I believe that the food that you eat will alter with your performance, because you cannot tell me a few hours to the rest you will eat a lot of carbohydrates, like ugali, a complete ugali meal. You'll just have light food because you need to be light.
Does this one apply even for the footballers and the hockeys and the rugby?
All players, before the game, if you go and generally look at them perform or their diet, maybe rugby players and everything, before the games, there is a calendar that comes out for their diet and the food that they're supposed to eat, which is different from the food that they eat while they're in practice.
Okay, so meaning that the food that they're eating when in practice is different from the food that they're going to eat a few hours to the performance.
Yes.
Okay, so and can we get some of the food that lower the chances of getting cancer? Maybe not only cancer, maybe other diseases, but let us look more on cancer.
Well, a lot of speculations has come up in this time and era, where we get that people say there are a lot of manufactured food, the greenhouse food, they cause cancer due to the high chemical levels that they have been like grown on in greenhouse with all the chemicals and everything. But for me, on a cancer thinking, I always presume that the more you eat the indigenous food, the local and the traditional meal, you lower your chances, because these have grown on like a typical soil, no fertilizers, no nothing. And even if it is in little quantities. And like the GMO food that have been manufactured in greenhouses or with chemicals, we get that these high chemicals will alter the performance of your body, and there's a very high chance they'll give you cancer. and other diseases. It's not only cancer. So generally for me, I think that the food that people eat will alter with will determine the diseases that they get.
Yeah. Okay, on that point of cancer, can anybody get cancer? Like cancer, we can say most of them affects for example, breast cancer affects only female. Maybe you tell us, and a female child who is 8 years old can get cancer, or cancer is just maybe for the old female.
No, cancer is actually in the cells and the genes. So cancer can be passed down from one family member to the other, from one generation to the next. So you can get a point where a mother can pass down cancer to their baby, but only during a specific time. Let's say when she's in her teenagehood, where she has a matured breast.
Yeah.
That is when they will realize that she's also developing what? Breast cancer. So cancer does not really affect a people of a certain age. Cancer affects everyone. That is why we get little new babies who are born with leukemia. We get little babies who are born with cancer in their cells. So it is actually generally on lifestyle, and like if your family has been diagnosed with a cancer setup, we realize that once a family member is born, there are very high chances that this child will actually grow up with genetics and the cells being cancerous.
Okay, and for a man, a male can get breast cancer, or it's just for female because they...
Well, let's just say they are rare cases.
Okay,
yeah.
Very rare. Okay, thank you. And let's look at pregnancy, especially for, and this one we are going to talk a bit wider, especially for the young youths who are, or let's say young mothers. Okay, and we found out that these are people that they don't know about pregnancy, they have never experienced anything about pregnancy, and this is their first child. So what are these things that a mother can do, a young mother can do in order for him to take care of that fetus, and from that day, the first day up to 9 months, and even nursing that child up to 5 years. And let's talk about what are these things a pregnant mother can do. For example, physical activities. What can a pregnant mother do?
Well, there are different types of pregnancies. There are pregnancies that will restrict you to bed rest due to your health. So for these people, for these persons and most pregnant mothers who are not on bed rest, we always advise them to do a lot of light exercise, stretches, walks. That is just to help them like build their general health, because now that they have a human being growing in them, there's something that people don't understand. When you get pregnant as a woman, this child does not grow because of you. This child grows differently. You have another person. You're just like a place where this child is staying. You're just hosting. You're a host. So generally, this child needs their own vitamins. They need their own energy. They need their own calcium, their own iron. They make their own blood, everything. So for a mom, when we do this exercise, it is actually just to balance your weight and this child's weight, because they are growing also. So you get that we don't want you to become excessively heavy when you're pregnant. We want you to balance your weight and the baby's weight.
Okay, talking about exercise, we have seen some families, they give these pregnant mothers some works to do. For example, heavy works like going to the farm, doing 1 to 3 on the farm. So is it advisable for a pregnant mother to take these activities?
We can say it is not advisable for a pregnant mother to overwork or overdo something. But we cannot also restrain them from doing their normal activities, because life moves on, okay? But it reaches a point, we have the first trimester, the second trimester, and the third trimester of pregnancy. So the first trimester is 1 to 3 months, and then second is 3 to 6, and then 6 to 9.
Yeah.
So as your trimesters keep on adding up, you reduce with the activities that you were normally doing. And when we tell you about farming and everything, well, there are those mothers that are in poor backgrounds and poor families, that is the only way they have to earn a living, okay? But we don't recommend them to overwork or overdo something. Even for a mother who sleeps on bed rest, we will not encourage you to overrest. No, you have to be physical, you have to be mentally prepared, you have to be emotionally prepared. You have to walk, you have to meet with people, you have to know that life moves on despite this child. After 9 months, you still have a life to do.
Okay, talking about pregnancy and exercise, we've seen most of youths, you find a youth, she's a 6 months old pregnant, and she's wearing heels, and what do you advise on the type of dressing and everything?
When you're pregnant, your dressing changes. You will start wearing loose dresses. This is because we don't want to put a lot of contraction and a lot of force on this baby.
Okay.
On the effect of heels, as a pregnant mother, you add weight. So when you put on unnecessary shoes like the heels, you only hurt your back, not the baby. You're hurting your back.
Okay.
So you're hurting yourself. You'll get too tired. You get too exhausted before. And it's literally uncomfortable. Everyone will notice that you're uncomfortable. So generally, we would advise you to do like diras. We'd advise you to do dresses. You leave the trousers and the belts.
And the tights.
Yeah, and the tights. Something that is loose, because generally you're putting a lot of force on the baby. So if force given is force received.
Yeah.
So you'll get that the baby will become disturbed after a few months, which is not even healthy, or it might cause some problems during delivery, or actually before delivery.
Okay, it can affect the baby like directly.
Not necessarily, but after a long time, yes, it can. You might get an underweight baby.
Oh.
Yes.
So, and what about the kind of food a pregnant mother needs to eat?
A pregnant mother supplements her diet, her normal diet, with a lot of calcium food, a lot of iron. Yes, because now...
Maybe you talk about calcium. What does it add to?
Calcium is for the bones. As a mother, you're having another kid that is growing up in you, okay? This child needs bones, okay? Development of the bones. So this baby, let me give you an example, will not wait for you to take calcium so that they can use it to grow their bones. This baby will actually take your calcium and use it to develop their bones. So when you eat less of calcium, you realize that you become weak, not the child. You as a mother become weak. Your teeth might fall off. You might break. Anytime your bones become literally weak. So you just become a fragile person. So substituting a pregnant mother's diet with a lot of calcium is for her good. Apart from the baby, because the baby will actually take the calcium that they need from your bones. They will not wait for you to take a meal that is full of calcium. Yeah.
And what about the vitamins and the carbohydrates and proteins and everything, and even the minerals?
Yeah, generally, as a mother, a lot of activity is taking part in your body, okay? You will pee a lot, so you need a lot of water. Some things in your body are changing. The glands in your breast are going to produce milk. You will need like a setup. And for like a baby, you see that you need vitamins, because now a baby will take vitamins from you. Like a baby, when they're in the womb, something funny is that their body stores vitamin C that is going to help them, vitamin C and D, that is likely to help them for 0 to 6 months. So you see, as a baby, they're using you, okay? So as a mom, you have to supplement, you have to refill your banks with everything. Yeah.
And for pregnant mother, is it advisable for her to take alcohol and other substances? And if not, why are they restricted from taking alcohol?
Definitely. We have grown up knowing that no pregnant mother is supposed to take alcohol or any drug or any substance, because the baby is in a semi-permeable membrane. So what you take in your blood will be distilled or passed through that membrane to the baby. And growing up as a mother who has done drugs, we get that the infant mortality is very high, because a lot of women who are under drugs, or a lot of women who are drug addicts, they either give birth to still children. Stillbirth is where you give birth to a baby that is not breathing, who is already dead. They either get high rates of miscarriaging. They will probably bore children who are underweight. Like you get a child who is 1 point something kgs, that child is underweight. because drug is already in their system. So when a child is born out of a drug person or a drug family or a drug background, you realize that it takes a lot of effort for doctors and nurses to actually get this child clean, because a lot of children have already become addicts. You cannot be taking drugs every day for 9 months and tell me you're not an addict. So these children are already addicts when they're not even born. When they come to this world, it is the work of these nurses and doctors to actually balance. So a lot of children you get when they're born from drug addicted mothers, the doctors will keep on injecting them with little drugs to keep them alive. So it will actually alter with the performance and the life of this child. Either they will become withdrawn, where if they are too withdrawn, they will pass, or they will become children with Down syndromes, or they will just have little, they'll not be complete children actually. We'll be in a state where we are trying to handle a child that is already addicted to drugs and they can't even open their eyes.
Oh, so it's not advisable for
No,
any
it's
man.
not.
Okay. And what are some of how can we handle, now we have a pregnant mother there, or how can she handle herself with the food she eats, everything, and sanitation and everything?
For a pregnant mother, as a mother, let us start. As a woman, you have changes, right?
Yeah.
We'll start from your menstruation. There are stages of life. You have menstruation and then pregnancy, and then after pregnancy, right? So if we start with menstruation for women, you have actually realized that menstruation is just a balance of your hormones between your mental and your physical, okay? And that is where women lose blood. So they have to eat food that substitute iron. When we get to pregnancy, you're now...
What are these food that they give us iron?
We have beetroot, we have liver, we have spinach, we have iron supplements.
Okay.
So they're generally a big amount of food where they substitute iron.
Okay.
But which means, iron is, no matter how small it is, like I can tell you, iron is in eggs, okay?
Oh.
But there's a different amount or quantity between the, let's say, the ostrich egg and the chicken egg. Ostrich egg has high iron, while chicken egg is like less iron. So it just depends.
Okay. And people don't eat ostriches, like there is
People do eat
they do.
ostrich eggs.
Okay.
Yes.
So how can we handle their food, everything, the utensils, everything, the beddings and everything?
For a mom,
for
a pregnant,
sanitization, for instance.
as a mother, when you're pregnant, you have a lot of cravings. You have to eat a lot of healthy foods.
When you're talking of cravings, there's these things that ladies like, that when I'm pregnant, nataka tu hizo chocolate na masijui nini na nini na nini. Is that
is
good?
mental.
Mental.
That is mental. Believe you me, cravings are just mental. Nutrition is a whole big deal. It's not only on the food you eat. It is on your emotions, on your thinking. That is nutrition. So generally, cravings is mental. When you put your mind that you want chicken, that is what you will want to eat.
For the 9 months period.
For the 9 months, there's a certain time you'll get to, you want chicken, and that's it. You want a certain type of chicken. You don't want deep fried, you don't want roast, you just want boiled. You see, that is mental. But we cannot say that because it is mental, we will not.
Yeah.
Just do not underlook on their cravings, because they need to be happy emotionally.
Yeah,
so once they get their craving, they become happy. Happy mothers give birth to happy babies.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. On sanitation and everything, as a mom, generally as a human, you have to eat healthy food, clean food.
Yeah.
We're only doing that more strict on a pregnant mother because we're trying to make you not become sick.
Oh.
We want you to be healthy during these 9 months, because you realize if you become sick of food poisoning, we'll treat you for food poisoning, right? But we also have to consider this child. Will these drugs affect the child? That is why you hear that a lot of mothers, when you're pregnant, they tell you sleep under a net, a mosquito net. We don't want you to contract malaria, because malaria drugs are too strong for babies and who are still in your womb, unborn babies. So once you get that, you have malaria as a mother, and your drugs, the drugs that you're given, or this doctor does not know you're pregnant, they'll prescribe very strong drugs, which will eventually might give you a miscarriage or a complication during that time of pregnancy. So on sanitation, we just want you to eat clean food, stay in a clean environment, be responsible, be healthy, because we believe the more you're healthy, the less it is for you to get treated and these medications affecting the baby.
Okay.
Yes.
So let us observe the sanitization and everything during pregnancy and even after pregnancy.
Yes.
Okay guys, that is what we had for today, but you can still keep the conversation going on our social media platforms, that is on Twitter, Instagram, and also on Facebook at Treaty Trend on TV Show. But don't forget to subscribe and like our YouTube page at Treaty Trend on TV Show. Have been your host, Jacinta Adhiambo. Till next time, bye-bye.